a little bit of breaking news before we get to the suspension of Jimmy Lake for the Arizona State game. While we're still here talking about coaches, is this now a Scott Frost retained emergency podcast? I mean, is that a stunner that Scott Frost is going to continue being the head coach of the Cornhuskers? Because, of course, with the defeat to the Buckeyes, a narrow defeat at home, that's 7 losses. Nebraska will not be bowling under Scott Frost. Scott Frost has yet to get Nebraska to the postseason. Any big surprise as Nebraska makes that official?
No. I mean, I think, honestly, I have to think that part of this decision is based on the other jobs that are open. Like, if you're Nebraska right now and USC is open, LSU is open, there's a chance. We can't rule out Florida coming open at some point, depending on how the next few weeks go. Depending on what James Franklin does, Penn State could come open. Like, where are you on the pecking order of available jobs, and who are you going to get to come in? And there's also the aspect that, like, we've talked about it a lot too. Nebraska's 3-7. But it's better than 3-7 suggests. It's just the problem with getting caught in that line of thinking is 4-6 is better than 3-7, and 5-5 is better than 3-7. And is that necessarily where Nebraska wants to be? Because my problems with what I see with Nebraska right now is the problems that I saw on Saturday against Ohio State were the same problems I've seen in every Nebraska game I've watched for seemingly the last 5, 6, 7, 8, however many years since they got rid of Bo Pelini. It's a team that gets in its own way time and time again, and it makes mistakes. And there's always one part of the team playing well, and then everything else is playing poorly or doing stupid stuff, or there's just 1 or 2 really dumb or bad decisions, whether by player or coach, that kill them in the end. And I haven't seen any signs of what has happened in this current tenure with Scott Frost and this coaching staff, other than the defense improvement, that give me reasons to think, oh, well, next year they'll be fine. Next year they're going to get to 8-9 wins. They're going to be competing for the Big Ten West. It's like next year you're going to go in and your goal is going to be, we're going to get to a bowl game. So if you go 6-6, are you keeping Scott Frost next year and extending him again?
Great question. I will say this, though, and it comes to very similar to what we were just talking about, Dan Mullen. I don't like when the records are why you fire a coach, because then you find yourself going through this cycle of firing coaches every single year. And every time you do it, you set yourself back. And as we've seen, I mean, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure, have heard the stat on first-round quarterbacks that have been drafted. And it's like 50-50, whether they hit or whether they don't. And it's hard to judge, like, what's a success or what's there's not. But when 50% of them are not on the team that drafted them within 3 or 4 years, I'd say that's a sign of not very successful. I bet, like, do you guys feel like it's probably around 50-50 at any of these coaches are success stories at their schools? So basically, like, you're going to send Scott Frost packing for another coin flip, like, and it may work, but it may be exactly what you're getting. And when you do, you're completely starting over. And again, don't look at the records, look at the culture. Like, see what is happening and see if your team is competitive. Are they responding to the coach? Are they showing up and fighting every single week? And I think it's pretty clear that answer is yes. Like, Nebraska is clawing away. There have been some coaching decisions that you could argue, and I know Bud was calling out some of them in the game. Like, hey, why did he kick the field, or why did he kick the field goal there? Why not go for it? You're down, it's Ohio State. You want to win this game, and their kicker's atrocious. I mean, there's some of it is that, but I do feel like they're a solid culture that is close. And if they could, like, and I know it's hard to say this, but like that loss to Illinois set them on a path. It was like, if they win that game, which they very well could have, they didn't. You wonder if they could get that. And I feel this with Florida State. Like, Florida State has been competitive. They're not getting the wins. But if they would have gotten the win against Notre Dame, imagine how different the complexion of this program would be. And maybe that the win total is completely flipped. Like, maybe that's all it takes. But I think Tom brings up an excellent question. Like, you reset. Let's go 6-6. That was the goal this year. If you do it next year, is that a huge success story? Is that just mean you're a year later getting there? But at least you see progress. You can build on it, and they need to recruit. I mean, everybody does. That's the difference. We put so much emphasis on coaching. Who's our guy? It is recruiting. It is about the lack of talent that Nebraska has. When they're playing Ohio State, it is not even close. When they're playing against Michigan, it is not even close. So I think you could say, you know what? That's actually pretty impressive that he was actually go toe-to-toe with each one of them, come up just short.
But see, there's another side to that argument, though. And while I agree with you, it shouldn't just be about record. If we look at Scott Frost since he came to Nebraska since 2018, and we look at how he's done in his own division, and we take out Iowa and Wisconsin, and we say, you know what, it's not fair to compare Nebraska to those two programs right now. If we just look at Nebraska against Purdue, Northwestern, Minnesota, and Illinois, the programs who you would think the floor for Nebraska should be, we're better than those four teams. They're 6-10 against those four teams in Scott Frost's 4 years. He can't even beat the teams he's supposed to be beating. So at some point, not getting blown out by the teams he's not supposed to beat kind of loses its effectiveness when you can't even beat the Purdues, Illinois, Northwesterns, and Minnesotas of the world.
I would also tell Scott Frost to pick up the phone and call Tom Herman and see how Tom Herman's vote of confidence went as soon as Texas found out it could get Steve Sarkisian. And as the dominoes start to fall in December or maybe even into January, that a vote of confidence on November 8th could very, very quickly start moving in the other direction if Nebraska does decide that it wants to make a change. Like they can find some motivation if they want to be able to take this in the other direction. But again, as we're sitting here recording live on youtube.com/cover3, wanted to give it a mention.
But I don't think the timing is coincidental because they are on a bye and their last two games are Wisconsin and Iowa. So there's a very good chance they're going to lose both those games. They're going to finish 3-9. And I think Trev Alberts, the AD there, just wants to get it out now so people don't spend the next 2 weeks talking about it. And then the 2 weeks after that, when they likely lose those games.
If he's smart, though, this has nothing to do with people criticism, fan criticism. It's all about recruiting. Like that's where he should be saying publicly. And that's where I wonder if this is all about, hey, we got to make sure recruiting is locked up because that's the issue. We've talked about this a lot on here. If you make a change, it's probably going to be really close, late in the game. You're going to have 2 weeks to put together a draft class. I think this is more about, all right, we want Scott. We're probably going to do this. Like not as much guarantee as we've learned. In order to make it work, we need to make sure that we have our recruits tied up and we can put our best foot forward toward a rebuild of this program.